Hello, everybody. My name is Joe Appello. My partner in crime over here, George Connor. This is our 9th or 10th show. We're not sure.
We got to look that up.
But we're still hanging in there. So we're good to go. Today is the taping of this show is the day before the NFL draft. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the draft, do a kind of a mock draft with us. So we're going to do probably the top 10 picks.
I want to go all 6 rounds.
All 6 rounds?
Yeah.
We'll do a couple trades and,
Yeah, absolutely.
Players with names later.
It's going to be a 4-hour show.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we're going to, we're going to basically approach like what we think, what picks are going to go and how we would pick. Not that it matters to anyone who's listening to us, but we're going to say how we feel and what we think how it should go. All right, George, you got first pick, and you're Cleveland Browns. Who are you taking?
I go with Saquon and Barkley. Oh, here's my thinking.
That's my boy.
That's your boy, and you want him to go to the Giants.
Killing me already.
You got a bunch of quarterbacks in the draft.
Now
Barkley.
Now what they should take, what you would take.
If I'm the Browns, I take Barkley in the first round,
okay,
and then I come back in the 4th round and grab a quarterback.
Okay.
If they don't take Barkley, I think the Giants are going to take Barkley.
Yep.
Now they get a quarterback, they don't have a running back.
Okay.
The Browns are not in a win now situation, so they have a chance in the first 4 picks, right? They got 1 and 4.
1 and 4, yep.
To get 2 impact players that could be impact players for 6 or 7 years down the road.
Absolutely. See, my take on that, if I was them, I would take Barkley at 1, and I would take, no matter what, I would take Chubb at 4. My thought process is you got your franchise running back for the next 10, 15 years, maybe a Hall of Fame player. And then with Chubb, you've got a guy that is the opposite end rusher of Myles Garrett. So you've got your pressure. And they signed Tyrod Taylor, so they have a quarterback in place. And my thought process with any of these quarterbacks, maybe besides Baker Mayfield, because I think he's the most impactful player in the draft, plus him or Rosen. Rosen is probably the best pro-ready. I would say Cleveland can get by with Tyrod Taylor for a year, but you've got a great running back, and you got 2 edge rushers that could be the best in the league.
No, I like that, yeah.
So that's what I would do if I were the Browns. But, they won't. They'll screw it up like they screw it up every year. They're 1 and 31 the last 2 years, and they've always had top draft picks. So they never get it right. Whether it's different coaches, different general managers, no continuity in the administration, whatever the reason being, it seems like they always don't get it right. Now,
so you're being an optimist in this case.
Well, I think they'll take a quarterback.
Okay.
I think they take Josh Allen. That's what I think they do, and I think they take. At 4, they'll probably take Bradley Chubb. I think it goes Josh Allen with the Browns. I think the Giants take Barkley. I think the Jets take Mayfield. And I think Browns take Bradley Chubb at 4. Okay. That's what I think the top 4 are going to go.
Yeah. I think Rosen might.
Rosen or Darnell are all kind of like, toss them up in the air.
I kind of feel like maybe the Jets would take Rosen instead.
Right.
But let me throw this out.
Yep.
If the Giants they want to get Barkley.
Yep.
If Barkley goes in the 1st round, what if the Giants traded back?
Right.
They're not. I don't think they're in the market for a quarterback.
Right.
So if they can get something and go down to 8, 9 in the draft or something like that, and maybe get a better.
I totally understand why the Giants would take a quarterback for the simple fact that Eli's got 2 years remaining on his contract. Yeah, he's at the back end of his career, of course, but he hasn't had any support in the last 3-4 years, and his stats have not been good. Let's be honest. They haven't won too many games, but he's had no running back. Offensive line's in shambles. Eric Flowers was a total bust at left tackle. His wide receivers were all hurt last year. He had nobody to throw it to. So you can break it all you want, but you could have put Bart Starr, Joe Montana, and Peyton Manning back there. I don't think it would have made a difference.
In their heyday, you're talking.
In their heyday,
okay.
Yeah, of course.
Because Bart Starr right now, probably.
But yeah, Bart Starr, he might be a little slow back there.
And I think that way too. And I think Gettleman is. That's kind of where he comes from. Right. Is you got to have the offensive line. You got to have the threat to run.
Right.
For years I've watched the Jets try to run play action passing when there's nobody in the world that thinks they're going to run the ball because they can't.
Right.
Well, so you get a quarterback who's got no tools, no chances at all.
And even with the backs that they've drafted, the Giants have drafted in the last few years, they all were missing some kind of aspect of being a total running back. They either couldn't block, they couldn't catch passes, or they couldn't run very well. Yeah, easy for me to say. But I mean, like Paul Perkins, good back, but he not a good blocker. Andre Williams from Boston College a couple years ago couldn't block anybody, and that's how you get your quarterback killed. You know, a guy like Frank Gore has been around the league for 15 years because he'll stick his nose in there and he'll block anybody, and that's how he's been around for 12 years.
So if you get a guy who's making $15, $16 million a year, you got to protect him.
Yeah, if you blow your coverage or you go to the wrong side, and if you're in pass protection, your quarterback gets blown up. I mean, you know, it's a serious matter, and I think that Barkley has proven that he's a tremendous blocker, just like Ezekiel Elliott is a tremendous blocker all around back.
Yeah.
So, I'll say it again. I said it before. I think Davis Webb has got to be as good or better as any of these 3, 4, 5, 6 guys coming out at this point in time. I would think. Maybe not.
Right now, what's the upside kind of thing?
Right.
Yeah.
And if he's not, why is he even on a pro roster if he can't even hold his own?
And that's a big question. And that was a big question last year. You know, when they did sit Manning down for a little bit, and they put Geno Smith out.
Geno Smith in there,
which I'll never understand.
Never understood.
I mean, you can ask anybody. Geno Smith had his chances, and he showed that he's got a strong arm, but he can't manage the game.
Actually, speaking of him, I think he went to the Raiders or somewhere. He's trying to hook on the Chargers. I think it was. Actually, I think it was. He was trying to get over there. But yeah, as far as the Giants go, I hope to goodness they take Barkley. I heard a great quote about Josh Allen. One guy said he looks like Tarzan and he's about as accurate as Jane. So one guy.
Wait a minute. Can we say that?
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Yeah. He didn't say he looks like Jane. He says looks like Tarzan, as accurate as Jane is what he described Josh Rosen.
There's a from all the mock drafts and everything that I've seen is Rosen seems to be going to the Jets.
Yeah.
And recently, there's been more and more talk about Oklahoma.
Baker Mayfield. Yeah.
Being kind of fitting into the New York market a little bit better.
Yep.
What's your take on that?
I think they're both pretty. I think they both are determined that both can handle the New York market, as opposed to Josh Allen would not be able to, being a country boy from Wyoming. He's literally a farmer.
Yeah.
How's that play in New York City with the press and the scrutiny he'd be under? I think that would be a tough sell for them. I think Baker and Josh Rosen are the two guys that can handle the New York media best coming out. Darnell, I don't know. He played at USC, so he might be okay with that too. But to me, Darnell's a turnover machine. Turns the ball over a lot. He had like 36 picks or fumbles or turnovers in 25 games in his career. I mean, that's almost 1 or 2 a game. I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot of picks.
At that level.
Yeah.
Josh Rosen, I think, is a best pro-ready quarterback at this point. Could actually, of all those guys, actually step in and hold his own. He reminds me of a Kirk Cousins, Alex Smith type of guy.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield reminds me of Brett Favre. He's got that it factor. I think he can make plays. I think he's a playmaker. I think he's. I could care less. He's 6'1" or 6'6" and 6'3". That doesn't. Height has nothing for me. I mean, Drew Brees, Russell Wilson, all these guys have done fine, and they just and they're so they move the pocket a little bit. But
like we said, I think we said this in the last show, is the height's not that big of an issue, but looking past a guy because he's a little bit undersized, as opposed to going after somebody because he's the scrambler or something like that, which doesn't work in the NFL anyway. Right.
You think Russell Wilson wants to scramble? He's running for his life. He doesn't do it on purpose. He's running around to make plays. I mean, that's just what he does.
Yeah.
And he's got a gift to do that. Interesting article in the New York, a reference in the New York Post here. They had dissecting the quarterbacks in the draft. It was very, very interesting. They have hand size. They compared the top 15 quarterbacks in the NFL now compared to guys coming out. Hand size, does that matter? They say Russell Wilson has like these huge giant hands. Dak Prescott's got the biggest hands in the league. Then you got guys like Phillip Rivers and Matt Ryan have smaller hands. Josh Allen, Rosen, and Darnell Mayfield all have like 9.5 inch hands. What does that mean? Who knows? But I mean,
it's like the
interesting.
Back in before the boxing matches, the tail of the tape, the reach and the
right.
Yeah.
Right. Now, the other thing, too, is that
maybe with bigger hands, you don't fumble it quite as often.
Well, they say, yeah, especially in the cold weather when it's hard to grip the ball, you want a bigger guy with a bigger hand, ideally. There's also something called the Wonderlic test, which we called the Wurlitzer test last time.
What is the Wonderlic?
Yeah, the piano test. But the Wonderlic test is an interesting test. It's 50 questions given to a player, potential player coming out of college. And
this is like the combine or something.
Yeah, all different categories, from physics, math, science, common sense, entertainment.
Like personality type things.
Everything,
right?
Everything. And you graded 1 to 50. And the highest scores ever recorded in the Wonderlic were by Ryan Fitzpatrick, who went to Harvard.
Yeah.
And Greg McElroy went to Alabama. And Greg McElroy was a Rhodes Scholar.
Okay.
They went to England. So, I mean, those two were the highest. I think they both had 48, 49s.
Okay.
The current quarterbacks now with the highest scores. Alex Smith had a 40. Carson Wentz had a 40. Another 50. Matt Stafford, 38. Andrew Luck, 37. Andrew Luck, 37, which is kind of mind-boggling because he's supposed to have a photographic memory from Stanford. Yeah. So, I mean, I would think he would, excel in something like that. Yeah. But it matters. Drew Brees only had 28, which is interesting. He was like a very intelligent.
Pretty cerebral guy.
Yeah, cerebral guy. Some of the lower scores, Tyrod Taylor had a 15.
15 out of 50?
Out of 50, yeah.
Wow.
Roethlisberger had a 25. Prescott had a 25. So they're all around the 25, 30 range.
Yeah.
The guys coming out, Josh Allen had a 37 out of 50.
Okay.
Josh Rosen had a 29. Darnold had a 28, and Baker Mayfield had 25. So what's that worth? Who knows? But I mean, it's just interesting to see the intelligence. Yeah. And also dissected by height, with Roethlisberger being one of the bigger guys left, and Josh Allen comparable size, and then he compared Baker Mayfield's size to Russell Wilson's. He also had college completion percentage, which is very interesting compared to these guys coming out. Yep. Andrew Luck had 67% completion percentage in college, compared to Josh Allen, which had a 56% completion. Okay. So that was one thing. Interceptions, Carson Palmer had 49 in college. Carson Palmer had 49 interceptions, 45 starts, and Sam Darnold had 22 interceptions and 24 starts. Okay. So they had all different, all different stats. What they mean?
Yeah. So you look at it too. I mean, you got a sample size that's half. Yeah. So you figure, okay, well, had he played another year? Right. Does it creep up? Does it get worse? Does it get better? Yeah. You'd like to think it would get better. Yeah.
You can throw your stats all around you want. I mean, you can spin them any way you want with all these stats and.
And that's kind of the beauty of what's going to happen in the draft is you've got all these guys with all kinds of information.
Nobody knows.
The size of their hands, the Wonderlic test, if the guy knows what, And some of those questions on that Wonderlic test are tough, oddball questions too. It gets into kind of trying to figure out their personality type stuff. And then you got these guys that are making a lot of money as GMs and player development guys. They have to make a decision. You got 4 potentially very, very good quarterbacks. Right. You got to figure one of them's going to be a bust. So what do you look for? How do you tell them?
My take on that, I mean, if you're going to spend millions and millions of dollars on a franchise player per se, why wouldn't you be able to go to his college, for instance, and even if you put a spy there or snoop around, what does the guy do in his off hours? Where does he hang out with? What does he do? Where does he go? What kind of character issues does he have, if anything? Yeah. And I would think we know anything about him. Now, does he go at night? Is he playing video games with a bunch of stoners? You know what I mean? I'm being a wise guy, but no. Or is he out in the gym working out, or is he going to a Bible study? What's he doing with his free time? Yeah. That's got to give you a very good indication of what you're going to get as a professional. Yeah. Now, you get a guy that's a questionable character guy, and he's a college student. Now, all of a sudden, he's a questionable character guy with $1 million. What happens to him?
Yeah, he's not going to make better decisions.
No, he's going to make probably worse, and he's going to just spend more money. He's going to be a jerk with more money as a jerk with no money. Yeah. Again, maybe it's a little harsh.
I would think that maybe the teams, maybe they're not putting spies out there, but these guys at this point have agents, right? Before they're going in the draft.
Yeah, once they declare for eligibility.
Okay, so they have an agent. So a lot of that, I mean, and a lot of that is going to be the agent. If you're the San Diego or the Los Angeles Chargers, and you've worked with Geno Smith's agent before, and you trust this guy, and you know the type of people that he's around and he works with, and you can trust his opinion of who Geno Smith is and where he sees himself, what he sees himself doing the next few years. you know, that's got to have a lot to do with it.
That's a tough one because the agents are obviously out to make the most money for their client because that's how they make their money.
That's how they get paid.
So I mean, that's a tough one. I mean,
but you could still have, you know, you could have a few agents that you have a pretty good working relationship with, say over the years, whether it's at that team or a lot of these GMs. You know, they move around. You know,
and you would think the college coach, say Lou Saban, Nick Saban would say, you know, your relationship would say, what about so and so? And he'd got to tell you straight out, I would think. You know, this guy, hardest working guy I ever got, or he's so-so, or you know, this and that. I would think you draw a lot on that. I mean, obviously guys can change, and but I would think you got to know what you're getting as far as, I mean, how important is football to them? You know, is it the most important thing? Is it the least important? Is it just a job? Is it a passion? You know, are they watching film? Are they, you know, they do other things? I mean, one of the raps on Josh Rosen was he was kind of eccentric. He was he enjoys different kind of philosophies and things like that as opposed to these other guys. So they were saying maybe he's a little different. You know, football is not his passion. And he was like, that's not at all. I have varied interests. I have other things. He comes from a wealthy background. His father's I think his father's a chiropractor and his mother's a lawyer or something like that. And so he's come from wealth. So what, is that a detriment? I don't know. It was to Johnny Manziel, but that doesn't mean anything. So I mean, all those things are just like, you know, who knows what.
All right, so we're thinking, you know, you want Darnold to go the second pick. I think he's going to go in the first pick.
Browns could take Darnold too. Darnold, you know what I mean? They liked him 2 weeks ago. They liked him. Now they like Josh Allen. So I mean, it changes every day, every hour almost, and it's a cat and mouse game. They're all playing with each other.
So 5, 6, and 7. Broncos, Colts, Bucks.
I think Broncos take Mayfield if he's available, if he's still there.
Okay.
Yeah. If not, they'll take Chubb and they'll put, or maybe one of the running backs, or maybe Quentin Martin, the Nelson. I mean the
guy from Notre Dame.
The guard from Notre Dame. Now you got the Colts. A lot of people like Derwin James from Florida State, who's a
this is to the Bucks?
Yeah, top-notch safety. He's from that area too. 6'3", about 212.
The only thing I don't like about that is I'm not a fan of taking a guy whose his home team is going to be in his neighborhood. Right. I think there's too many distractions. I'd rather have a guy, you know, move, you know, take some 22-year-old kid, move him halfway across the country. Get a chance to, you know, kind of isolate them. Less worry about I got to get tickets for Aunt Mary. I got to do this. I got to go see this guy.
Or he does have the hometown support in a positive way. So I mean, I think it can go. You know, but you're right though. That's a good
there
point.
was a rumor that you know, before it really came down with Aaron Hernandez, that he was trying to get traded out of New England. He was too close to his hometown down here and needed to get away from those distractions. Obviously, it didn't happen in time.
Yeah, I mean, you get to a point where these teams draft. They always say to draft the best player available, and then you can figure it out. You got Minkah Fitzpatrick from Alabama, who's like a quarterback in the secondary, great defensive back for Alabama. He's a proven winner. He's going to be a great NFL player. I mean, you got the guy, like you said, the guard from Notre Dame is going to be. They say he's a plug-in pro for 15 years. Mike McGlinchey, who's a tackle at Notre Dame, another guy.
How important is it, in your opinion? So you get, you know, these guys from Alabama. Who, you know, I mean, if they played 3 years at Alabama, 4 years at Alabama, 2 years, they've played the game at the most elite of levels. How important is being part of that program to you as opposed to a kid who's got great numbers and film looks good or whatever else, but he's just playing on a team that's, you know, Josh Allen at Wyoming. It's just not at that level.
I think it's huge when you play Georgia and Alabama, things like that. First of all, because on your team, within your team, you've got all 4 or 5 star recruits. So all the guys you're competing with, even to start on your team, are just as good or not better than you are. So right away you've got this. You don't walk in like the big man on campus and there's nobody even to take your spots. You're like, I got this. You know, so they're always competing. And then if they get hurt, they got to get back, you know, quicker. Now with the weight programs and nutrition and things like that at the college level now, these guys get the maximum out of their bodies and potential with the guys at these big programs. I know one of the kids from I can't remember what town it was, but I knew this kid. He was actually a track guy. He went to Notre Dame and got a nutritionist. he was a shot putter, nutritionist, and a trainer, and he ended up gaining like 30, 40 pounds of pure muscle, and looked like, you know, it was unbelievable.
What school was this?
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
He was a track kid, and then just by the proper, they actually had a dorm for all the athletes, scholarship athletes,
yep.
and they had and the food and the training they got were just unbelievable, and you get that at all these big football programs, obviously.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think they reached their full potential, and guys at Alabama, that's one thing I like about the college level. They played for 3 years. You know, they stay for 3 years no matter what. So they get some good guidance there. That's why I think when they come out.
So Parcells could draft them, right?
That's what he says.
Parcells had, what was it, 20 games you had to play?
30 starts for quarterback.
30 starts.
30 starts for QB, yeah.
Oh, that was just for quarterback?
Quarterbacks,
oh, okay.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah. The other positions, I don't think it matters that much because guys, you know, evolve, and they have one good year, they're good to go. But yeah, I think with the quarterbacks, he wanted 30 starts, he wanted pro-style offense, and he wanted, you know, X amount of wins in the program.
Yeah.
Come from a winning program has always helped.
Yeah, you can't argue any of those points.
That's the thing too. And then you've got like guys from Alabama and Georgia that play in the biggest, you know, the games, national championship games, and so when they go play in these pro games, it's not that big of a deal because they played in front of those crowds.
Right.
I mean, that's you.
Yeah, and hopefully, I mean, you got to think staying in the same sport that you know that would translate.
Right.
You know, I played the national championship game in the Super Bowl, the Georgia Dome, whatever it happens to be.
Right.
Now it's a Sunday and I'm in Buffalo. It's almost like almost going backwards.
Lesser, yeah.
I had a golf student who was a pretty darn good player, and you know, he's developing this and that. He played football at Indiana.
Oh wow.
And then, you know, became a golfer and got pretty good. He went and played in his first, you know, kind of big tournament. And he's like, George, man, I was nervous. And what was hard for him was that he didn't expect to be nervous. You know, I'm sure he got used to, you know, the nerves, the butterflies, the feelings before a football game. He's like, you know, it's a golf tournament. How nervous can I be? But I remember him saying to me, he's like, George, I played in the big house at Michigan in front of 110,000 people. Wow. I'm standing on the first tee. There's 4 people there, and I'm nervous.
Wow.
And it came as a shock to his system.
Interesting.
But you know, to our point, you know, if you're playing at Alabama, you played in all those big games. Say for, you know, so you played in 3 national championship games. You know, I think it translates. The fact that a lot of those NFL games he's going to be playing in front of smaller crowds with less on the line. Right,
and those top programs like Alabama and stuff that give you the discipline and structure that you need for your life going forward. I mean, that's huge. Usually, a lot of your best pros are Alabama guys and stuff like that. Then you look at the other hand of the coin, where like USC quarterbacks have never made it in the NFL at all. Mark Sanchez, Matt Barkley, a couple of these other guys. Matt Leinart. I mean, why? Is it because USC is more like a one theory I heard was that USC is always the quarterback at USC is always surrounded by tremendous athletes, especially at the running back and wide receiver. So the quarterback doesn't have to do as much or is not extended as much. So I think that was a big. You know, Reggie Bush, he didn't really do that much in pros. He was hurt or something like that. But I mean, a lot of guys.
That's an interesting point. Yeah.
Yep. Because they're surrounded by these great athletes that throws off here and there.
O.J. Simpson was a USC Trojan.
He was.
He's going back a ways.
He didn't do it, though.
Okay, moving on.
All right.
You want to finish out top 10? You got 49ers and Raiders. So Chucky's back and with his first draft since he's back in there.
He likes this guy Vita Vea from Washington, a huge nose guard, plug up the middle.
Yeah.
He likes Minka Fitzpatrick too, one of his boys.
And then. Was it Rohan Smith?
Rohan Smith, for Niners.
Good linebacker.
From
Georgia.
This Denzel Ward, Ohio State defensive back that says a top.
So I kind of feel like maybe one of those quarterbacks might drop into that around number 10 pick.
I agree.
But I think it gets very defensive centered there. And again, like I said in the beginning of the show, I can see the Giants trading back into that spot and picking up. You know, a 9th and a 16th pick or something like that.
But you've got, let me see, like the Pats have two late round picks. They have the 23rd and the 31st. They say that they're looking at a quarterback in the late rounds. Maybe Mason Rudolph, maybe Lamar Jackson.
Yep.
A couple of guys are looking at. Cowboys draft 19th. They're maybe looking at a wideout to replace Dez Bryant, who's looking for a team right now.
Turned down an offer, right?
Turned down an offer, yeah, from the Ravens. I don't know what that was. I think he might be looking for. I don't know if he's looking for years or signing bonus or what that is.
What happened there? What was
with Dez?
Yeah.
Well, the last 4 years he hasn't even gotten he hasn't had 1,000 yards receiving in the last 4 years for the Cowboys.
Okay.
They say he can't get separation anymore. Just doesn't have that burst. I also think, I'm not know for sure, but it seems to me he's like a locker room distraction, a me guy.
Me.
So I think that that wears thin. I mean, you got the production, you're doing well, and you're a game breaker. They kind of like look the other way on that. But once when your production goes down, you're like, you know what? We're paying him $12 million a year. He's made $12 million a year last year. He made $12 million. So now you could draft a guy out of college and pay him $5, $6, $7, $8 million.
So he's getting $1.2 million per 100 yards of catching.
Pretty much, yeah. You know, I mean, he just hasn't.
It's nice work if you can get it.
Yeah, he just hasn't. He was hurt a little bit, but injuries I don't think are that big of an issue with him.
Yeah.
But the problem is that you bring a guy that's 30, I think he's 32, to any team, and he's going to walk right in there like Brendan Marshall did with the Giants. It's a tough fit. You got to come in there and really. You can't give attitude. You can't. You know, you got to work hard, and you got to outwork all these young guys that are trying to take your spot, and you're getting, you know, $12 million, $13 million. What's he going to sign for? I mean, that's a lot of money to pay somebody that's going to. You better be able to produce it.
And how long are you going to lock him up for? 32.
That's right.
A three-year contract, probably going to be it. And that's one of those cases where somebody's going to do it.
Yeah.
They're going to sign him to a 5-year deal. He'll play 3 of it. They'll settle this. They'll do that.
Yeah.
And then the probably one of the most important personnel or managers, executives on any football team is that guy who handles the salary cap.
Oh my God, it's huge.
You know, they get these lawyers in there and just try to figure out, okay, we got X number to spend, we got to push this, we'll defer that.
Yep.
You know, that's what's going on up in New England with, you know, Brady is, I think by a lot of standards, underpaid because he just keeps pushing it forward.
That's the past.
The good thing is, though, he's going to play until he's 52 years old, so he'll get his money. He's just taking it.
He'll play until his knee gets blown out. That's what I think. I think he plays until he gets a serious injury. I hope it doesn't happen, but and then that'll be done because you just can't come back at that age. But I mean, with this money and stuff, it's just it's stuff that we don't know behind the scenes, negotiations, and how that works. You know how these guys are physically. Are they, you know, they have a bulky knee? Do they have back issues? Are they, you know, how healthy are they? Andrew Luck's a perfect example. I mean, the guy has
still don't know what's going on.
Still don't know what's going on. No one really knows.
Yeah.
They think he's going to be back, but maybe he is back. He's not throwing yet.
And you think maybe the Colts have a pretty good idea in how they draft this weekend or how they drafted last weekend.
What do you do? You put
some indication of what's going on with Luck.
What do? You put your franchise on hold till you figure out what the hell's going on with him? I mean, you know, you just wait till he comes around if he does. Meanwhile, they've wasted, you know, a year, 2 or 3 years with it. You know, just kind of figuring out, you know, or do you move on, get your future quarterback, and then when it comes back, he comes back type thing. I don't know what to do there. I mean, and then meanwhile, your coaches get fired because you don't have a good quarterback, and you're 4-12.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes on and on and on.
It's amazing how the coaches get fired a lot more than the GMs.
Exactly, and then the thing is with the coaches, you know, think about it. If you're a tight end coach, you got your 3, 4, 5 tight ends. No one knows who the heck you are. You're in the background. You get paid pretty well. You're a pro coach. Why would you want to be head coach? I mean, I know the obvious reasons, but I mean, it's just a pressure, and you're working with your guys, and you have a good time with that. I mean, defense coordinator, offensive coordinators are much more scrutinized.
Sure.
I mean,
and they're you know the coordinators are going to press conferences and everything else, and they're written up. But I mean, how often do we see that? You know, you get the offensive line coach from blah 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 is all of a sudden in this big position, and you know, there's almost a theory in businesses and stuff like that you get promoted just one level too high to be successful. Yeah. You know, you're doing great here, you're doing great there, you're doing great there, and you take that last step, and that's where it falls off. And you know, I mean, hey, I guess at some point you gotta go. But to me, it would seem that it would be a positions coach to a coordinator to a head coach. Right.
I guarantee that. There's one thing that I read the other day. The Jets have 16 wide receivers on their roster at this point.
Yeah.
And if you name
nobody to throw it to them.
Yeah, and if you name them, I bet you never heard of like 12 of them.
Yeah.
And Robbie Anderson's one of them, and that guy. But I mean, so there's 16 guys out there competing for what? How many wideouts do they have? Carry 4 or 5?
Yeah, maybe 5.
You know, and it just goes to show you, plus whatever they draft, whatever they bring in, free agent-wise. There's 16 guys out there. So, I mean, there's such a fine line. And you're getting coached up and whatever. Who knows how that pans out?
Yeah, and if they do go with a quarterback for some period of time anyway, they're going to have 3 pretty well-known quarterbacks on their team.
Right. Yeah. A couple other guys that are interesting to watch is Calvin Ridley from the Alabamas as a wideout. Some people think he might be the top wideout picked.
Yep.
Some people have him going to the Packers. But this other guy, Tremaine Edwards, a linebacker from Virginia Tech, supposed to be a good player. Marcus Davenport is a defensive end from Texas. San Antonio was a USA Defensive Player of the Year last 2 years.
Yeah.
A big guy. He's like 6'5", 268, can really fly.
Yeah.
He should be a good player. Defensive tackle from Alabama, Deron Payne. He'll go in the first round.
Yep.
A couple other guys that are they're looking at too. Rasheed Evans, another linebacker from Alabama. They have linebackers like
this could be like was it last year that in the first round there was like 15 guys from Ohio State.
Right.
I almost feel like in the first 2 rounds you could have 20 players.
Right.
We got to move on to baseball here in a minute or two. But one of the things that I always like to look for in the drafts is one of these guys who everybody's mock draft has got this guy going, say in the top 15 picks.
Yep.
And whether you're watching the draft, I don't know if I will not be glued to the TV watching the 15 minutes or 14 minutes and 58 seconds of speculation
I will be kind of,
before they say, and in the third round,
the pick is in.
But who of these 15 guys are you going to see drop way down? And that's the guy that there's something going on. There's
Josh Allen, I think.
Yeah.
I think he's the one that drops to 10 and 12. I think he's the guy.
But you know what I mean? There's that guy that everybody, all the sports writers are, oh, this is the guy. You know, he's going to go big. He's going to go big. And all of a sudden, he goes in the second round, or he's like the last pick of the first round.
I agree with you. I think those quarterbacks are not going to go in the top. I don't think they're all going to go.
But I'm not saying because of who they because of their skill or their needs or whatever else. But there's something in that guy's past, or there's they've seen a little insight into something. It happened to Aaron Hernandez.
Yeah.
He was very highly touted and went late in the draft because things started to come out.
A quick story. You ever heard a story about Mike Evans? What happened to him?
No.
He was when he was at Texas A&M. When he was little, he was 8 or 10 years old, and he was living with his mother. Had him when she was like 18 or something.
Okay.
And his father. His father, mother, him and his little sister, and the father was very abusive to the mother.
Okay.
Beat her up all the time, drinking and whatever. And the uncle, his mother's brother, lived with them, and he couldn't take the abuse and the way he treated his sister.
Got it.
So he came home one day, and Mike Evans' father was sitting on the couch, and he challenged him to a fight. And he wouldn't do it. The father wouldn't do it.
Okay.
He was good to the kids, but he was abusive to the mother.
Yep.
So he wouldn't do it. So he went in the back room. This is Mike Evans' uncle. Took a gun and shot him in the head. He was running, and the guy jumped out the window. He was shooting at him, jumped out the window, shot him again, and then stabbed him with a pocket knife like 28 times outside. So he killed Mike Evans' father when Mike was maybe 12 years old. Mike went on to become, and that guy went to prison. He got convicted for murder because he was protecting his sister.
Yeah.
Now, Mike Evans goes on to be all-state in football and basketball in high school, 6'5".
Yep.
Tremendous basketball player, goes to Texas A&M. Anyway, then the uncle is in prison. He kills his cellmate.
Oh, jeez.
In 2006. So even if they were to rescind his first murder charge, he had a second one, so he's never getting out.
Yeah, so
and Mike Evans didn't talk to him until about a couple of years ago. So it was kind of a big story there. It was just amazing what he came from nothing to that.
Okay, well, after that uplifting story, thanks, Joe. Let's go to America's pastime.
I watch E60 all the time. No life.
So what's going on with your Yanks?
Yankees, youngest team in baseball the other day.
Youngest team in baseball?
Under 30. Every guy under 30 on the starting lineup because Brett Gardner wasn't playing, and they had.
So is that a good thing, or is that an inexperienced team?
For Yankees, it's interesting. I mean,
it certainly breaks the mold of the old Steinbrenner days.
They brought up Gleyber Torres, playing second base now. Finally brought him up, and Andrew Hart's on fire, playing third. He was 9 for 18 at one point. Brendan Jury's still trying to come back from his headaches and migraines.
Yep.
Bird's still rehabbing his foot. He might be back by end of May. Ellsbury's still out.
Ellsbury's not played at all.
He's not played at all. Yep. Nope. They're starting to play better right now. They won three in a row, I think. Stan, I think, is streaky. You know, I mean, they're all over him, but at the end, it's all said and done. He'll have his stats. Judge is on fire. Judge is playing. He's hitting 350. Got 7 home runs. I mean, Diggy Gregorius is on fire. He's clearly becoming one of the best shortstops in baseball.
Yeah.
Aaron Hicks is healthy. Sanchez had a couple home runs yesterday. So they're starting to hit the ball now. The Red Sox are stumbling a little bit. They started 17-2. They lost 3. I think they lost 3 in a row.
Yeah, as of the taping of the show, they are 17-5.
17-5. Lost 3 in a row. And they got no-hitted.
They got no-no'd. Just
a couple days ago.
End of last week.
But it'll come back to the pack, and you know, I mean, the Yankees.
So do you see this as a fluke start for the Sox, or do you?
No, I think it's going to be a 2-man race, 2-horse race. I think they're going to go back and forth all year.
Toronto going to be in the picture in summer?
I don't see it. I don't see it. They got a chance maybe at another wild card because they're 2 wild cards, but you know, I don't think they have the pitching that holds up all year long.
Yeah.
And then Josh Donaldson's basically he's on a 10-day DL the other day, so he's not. I think he's got a bulky shoulder. I think he's on the backside of his career too.
Okay.
They got a couple of good young players, but it's going to be Red Sox Yankees all the way to the end, and you know, we'll see what happens. You know, a long way to go, obviously, and Red Sox are a good team now. You know, they're playing very well.
Yeah.
They have great pitching. They're great starting pitching. And you know, with Price and Chris Sale's one of the better pitchers in the league.
Yeah. Yep.
It's going to be tough. The Mets are doing all right.
Mets are hanging in there.
Holding
Yeah,
in.
Mets got off to almost as strong a start as the Sox. Then they kind of they lost. They swept the Nationals down in Washington. We talked about that in the last show. And then Washington came up, took 2 out of 3. They lost 2 out of 3 to Atlanta. So they've lost a couple series, but they're hanging in there. You know, there's no injuries. You know, I mean, they got Travis d'Arnaud is gone for the year.
Right.
He's got Tommy John surgery.
Right.
Plawecki got a contusion type thing.
If there's a position they can survive without, would be catcher. You know, I mean, they got Nito and they got Lobaton. They'll be fine without.
And they can do it. Lobaton and Tomas
Nito or
Nito.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a huge downgrade because they weren't real strong in catcher
anyway. Yeah. And they didn't need to go out and get anybody else, so you can survive without them.
Yeah.
And Cespedes is not. He's hitting in the clutch, but he's not really hitting for high average. He hasn't got on track yet. But has some big clutch hits. But he's only hitting about 200. Frazier's playing pretty well. Frazier's hitting. He was 280 the other day. But
But Cespedes, Frazier,
Bruce had a home run last night, but
a lot of RBIs. Bruce, hopefully, by the time the show airs, will be.
Adrian Hernandez is playing pretty well. Gonzalez, he's playing pretty well.
Playing pretty well, yeah.
And Cabrera, MVP.
Asdrubal Cabrera,
356 right now.
Yeah,
as we speak.
Yep.
But he's playing pretty well.
So the other night, it was, I think it was when they were in Atlanta. Comes up, and they were trying to maybe get a rally going at the end of the game. Nothing really came of it. But I saw Jose Reyes, and you almost wish that you'd never see this. Reyes hits kind of a slow roller just off the second base bag.
Yep.
Shortstop comes over. I don't know where the second baseman was. Shortstop grabs the ball almost into the outfield, runs to second base, throws Reyes out to double play to end the game.
Wow.
Never would have thought I'd see Reyes take that long to get down.
Yeah.
Occasionally he would hit into a double play, a real hard hit ball, and the defense turns it right. But it took forever for this play to develop, and so I think he's getting towards the end, and it's. I guess maybe I'm getting old, but when the old guy says, "Wow, it just seems like yesterday."
He started off over 18, over 17.
Oh yeah,
started the season.
But it doesn't seem like that long ago. 2005. No. Oh, he was fast.
Right.
He was this. He was that. Well, that's 13 years ago now.
It's hard for an older player to play periodically, here and there, without getting any rhythm and stuff. I mean, you just can't get.
And
back.
for him to get hitting, I think it would have to take. And believe me, I don't want to see this. It would have to take somebody getting hurt.
Yeah.
Where Reyes starts playing every day. And maybe physically he wouldn't hold up for that anyway.
He has some good young players. I mean, Rosario looks like defensively he's fantastic, and he'll hit. And then Conforto in center field, they got him all the time, and he looks like an all-star player too.
Yeah.
They avoid injuries, and they got the great pitch, and they put Harvey in the bullpen now, which is interesting.
Yeah, actually
moved him.
Yeah, he had his first. I think it was actually his second ever relief appearance.
Yeah.
They were encouraged. He pitched, 2 innings and gave up a run. That's not exactly.
Gave up a home run. 2 back-to-back doubles came in last night.
Yeah. Vargas is getting ready to come back.
Yep. Yeah, I think Harvey's on his way out at some point. I mean, if he pitches well, that's great. But I mean, I think they kind of had enough of him.
Yeah.
I mean, just his production's going down, and.
But it's always what have you done for me lately? If he starts throwing well out of the bullpen, somebody gets hurt, they plug him back in, and all of a sudden now he's good, and everybody loves him.
On the other side of the coin, you got Harvey as your 4th or 5th starter. That's not bad either. If he pitches well. So I mean,
how good is it if you got Matt Harvey, you're going to send him to the bullpen because you got 5 pitchers that are better than him.
Zellman's been pitching very well too.
Selling,
he's been pitching very well.
Yeah, he's been good in that role. Syndergaard hasn't really gotten off to a laser-like start.
Yeah, he's only given him like 6 innings a start, so they need to be a little more length out of him, which would help them out.
Not overly sharp, yeah.
Yeah, Familia's pitching well and as a closer, still doing pretty well.
Yeah. Right now they've got 15 wins. He's got 9 saves.
Yeah. Yeah,
he did blow one though.
And Callaway's doing a great job as a manager, just making all the right decisions. Did a great job.
Yeah, Familia did blow the save. He blew a save in Atlanta.
He always makes it interesting. Always makes it interesting, no matter when he comes in. Watch a couple guys while pitch.
Going on 10 o'clock. I'm sitting home watching the game. Okay, we got to get 3 more outs. I'll be, I can figure I can turn the TV off in about 7 minutes.
Makes it adventure every time.
Next thing you know, the tying ru's on 3rd.
Yeah. God forbid he gets a 1, 2, 3 inning one time in his life.
Just a couple times. That's all.
That's all we want. Yeah, just one time.
So getting back to the American League. The AL West with the Dodgers playing good golf, good ball, and then Houston is. Obviously, Houston is an awesome
Arizona
team.
Diamondbacks are playing well too. They have 2 or 3 losses.
Yeah.
Now the Yankees at this point, the Yankees lead the league in home runs, 36 home runs. Okay. They're on pace to break.
So they might be young, which goes against what you always think of the Yankees. But as the
power
Bombers
spread out, I mean they're on pace to break the league record for most team home runs. I haven't hit Joel yet, but they have 36. I think the team that had the record for season-long home runs had 30 at this point in time at the season. I think it was the Mariners years ago or something.
Okay.
But yeah. So they got the power. I mean, Judge is playing fantastic though. He's just totally come into his own. I mean, he's not striking out as much. He gets on base all the time. Seems like.
Yeah.
And Gregorius is like, that's got to be the biggest steal in the history of baseball, getting him from the Diamondbacks. So they got Didi. He's just fantastic.
Yeah,
Didi. To take Jeter's place, I mean, that was amazing. And Andujar, they can't get him out of the lineup now. I mean, he's just playing great third base, and he's hitting the ball like crazy.
Is that a Wally Pipp?
Boy, it looks like a jury's coming back going, man, I was starting before I left.
Is there a spot for me?
I got a headache, and now I'm fighting for my life over here. So.
Yeah. You watching any NBA playoffs?
A little bit, yeah. It's kind of going true to form. I was watching the OKC the other night, and Russell Westbrook's fantastic, but Carmelo Anthony doesn't play any defense, doesn't pass the ball. He's just a shooter. Stands there all the time, drives you crazy. Paul George is okay. Steven Adams is okay, and they're just okay.
Yeah.
And they'll never make a splash. The Rockets, they look very, very strong.
So you think it's just going to go chalk?
It's going to be Rockets Warriors toward the end, and then who knows? And I think it depends on the health of the Warriors. If Stephen Curry is healthy and everybody else is back, I think that's going to be a great series.
Yeah.
I still take the Warriors, though. I still think they're a little bit better. That's probably go 7 games. Yeah, but Houston got the home court advantage in that because they had a better record.
Right.
And then the other side, you got LeBron. Poor LeBron is just working his tail off, and he's got nobody to help him. And he's just like a monster, and I don't know how long he can do it. He's just amazing.
Yeah.
He's a one-man
wrecking crew.
He really is. The other night I was watching, they lost to the Pacers by 2. I think it was 102, 100 or something like that. 92, no, it was 92-90, and Cleveland had the ball 5 seconds to go with no timeouts left. J.R. Smith comes down, throws up a 45-footer with somebody in his face, and Jordan Clarkson was wide open on the wing, wide open, nobody was in, and he throws this running one in, and he's like about 15 feet short. Instead of giving up to Clarkson, and the percentages, maybe he hits, maybe he doesn't, who knows, but I mean, there's a typical J.R. Smith.
But it's a higher percentage shot.
Just give it up to the guy that's wide open. You know, whether he's, instead of launching up some kind of 45-foot heave, and just stupid things like that. You just kind of say to yourself, and then his supporting cast, I don't know. And then one night he had 48 one game. He just took it on his shoulders. Said, you know what? But Toronto, you got the Celtics. Celtics play great defense, great coach, great. I don't know. Now the other thing is who's going to be the next coach of the Knicks? That's the thing going around now.
Yeah.
That's another circus in town there.
It's been a long time since the Knicks have been relevant.
It drives me nuts.
To me, they just need to.
They throw out these names, and these guys are all the same. They got Budenholzer from Atlanta, who's their current coach. He wants out of there. You got Mike Woodson, who was a Knicks coach a couple of years ago. You've got, who was the other guy? David Blatt, whatever the heck his name's from. They used to coach at Cleveland. They drove him out of Cleveland. Those guys are all the same. They're just like Jeff Hornacek. What's the difference between David Fizdale, another guy? He couldn't get along with Marc Gasol in Memphis. They got rid of him. Now, to me, Mark Jackson is the best candidate, a no-brainer. Why wouldn't you take that guy? He's New York through and through, former Knick, loves the city. The fans would embrace him and bring back the magic to the Garden. That's the guy you got to get. Jeff Van Gundy's kind of time is passing by.
Yeah.
But those are my two favorites. That's what I'd like to see. Not ready yet.
Not ready yet.
I don't think he's ready yet. Yeah, I don't think he's ready yet. Yeah.
Do you think he's an NBA coach?
Someday, yeah. Okay. Well, he's at Georgetown. We'll see what happens. Yeah.
We've talked about this certainly in football. And I almost kind of see Patrick Ewing as more of a college guy. Yeah. He wants to teach. He wants to coach. He wants to improve and and help somebody with their skills. And that's just not what the NBA coach is. The NBA coach is.
It's the money and the contracts.
It's just handling the egos and making sure that everybody gets enough touches and things like that to keep everybody happy.
And then in the NBA, it's like you've got to you have to manage all your egos, all your players, and then you've got to get guys that want to play, get them to buy into your system, whatever that may be. Yeah. And the matchups. Who does what with who, and they bring in their second thing. How you get your guys in and out of there, and that's a tough thing to be an NBA coach. And then you've got the thing that fascinates me most about the NBA is you've got a coach that makes X amount of money. Every one of your players makes more money than you. Yeah. And you're the boss. And you're telling them what to do, and they can buy you out in 2 seconds.
And LeBron basically had enough of the coach out in Cleveland and just said, well, forget this. And right. I think they all try to downplay that or deny it. But, I mean,
and the thing is, like in New York, I mean, I think there are guys that would want to play for Mark Jackson.
Yeah.
I would think. Yeah. Whereas, these other guys, they were saying how, some of these other coaches could recruit their guys. Like one of the coaches is supposed to be close to Kawhi Leonard, and he might be a free agent, so maybe they'll bring him to New York. Well, does he want to go to New York? I doubt it.
You're picking one guy to be in charge of 12 millionaires because he might be able to get a guy. That's right. Yeah. That's
all that stuff. Best, and then you got, Porzingis was a tremendous player, but who knows how healthy, how many years he's got, how long can he play? Yeah. If he's healthy, and plays the way he is, they could do some damage, but who knows how he's going to hold up? Those big guys with all the injuries and things that they have, it's tough. Yeah, it's tough. But I think I hope they would get Mark Jackson. I think that would bring back interest and excitement to New York. I really do. Yeah. He had some issues in Golden State. I guess it was something with there was some diversity or some animosity among the players and the coaches and whatnot. He had Brian Scalabrine was a young assistant coach, and he made him go to the D League. And Scalabrine said Mark Jackson turned him against the team, blah, blah, blah. And he ran him, but then every player, Seth Curry, all those guys said that they love playing for him. So, I mean, that was, and then Scalabrine's backtracking. He said that Jackson did a good job and he understood why he did what he did, So, I mean, who do you believe, and what do you want? Now, then the other thing is you're a coach for James Dolan, and that's difficult.
Yeah.
It's difficult. They've had Isaiah Thomas here that set the franchise back.
Wow,
Phil Jackson.
That was a bust.
They've had all different guys in there.
That was a bust, yeah.
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 So.
Hey, we're filming this on April 25th. You know what April 25th is?
I do not.
It's National Golf Day.
Is it really?
Yeah, so National Golf Day.
And you're here with us.
And I'm here with you. It's 45 degrees and raining outside, so...
So what's going on in the golf world?
Well, actually, one of the things that came out because it was National Golf Day is there's this organization that studies, kind of collects all the information. The golf industry, industry-wide, has contributed $84.1 billion into the economy.
Wow.
So if you look at products bought, labor, wages paid, and everything else,
right.
$84.1 billion into the economy. And golf's they're a little on the defensive, not here in New England so much, but there's parts of the country where water usage and things like that are restricted. So they like to come out with these
What's the average price of a guy like me? I want to go play 9 holes or 18 holes, and I go to a public course. What's it cost?
Public course is going to be anywhere for, say, 9 holes, going to be anywhere from 16, kind of be 15, 16 be on the low end, $25 maybe on the higher end. It's not overly expensive. In golf, because of the growth, or say the lack of growth, it's almost been a deflationary economy. Golf balls today are, I think, cheaper than they were 15 years ago. Greens fees and membership fees to say private clubs, unfortunately have kind of moved down. So you got a sport where you got a lot of companies trying to make money. Yeah. Basically, you've got a fixed number of rounds per year. So your market is fixed, and you've got, just say in clubs, you've got 5 or 6 big companies that are all trying to sell more than did last year. So it's if company XYZ wants to get 10% more market share in an area or 5% more market share, they've got to buy it. Because basically the same number of rounds are going to be played every year. The same number of golf balls, the same number of sets of clubs or whatever else. So if I want to get more business, I got to out advertise you. I got to outpay my endorsers or whatever else. And frankly, I think certainly it's in this area, in the greater Hartford area, there's a little bit more supply than there is demand. When I was a kid growing up and I started working for the American Golf Corporation, we had two municipal golf courses in Hartford. You had one in West Hartford, you had one in East Hartford, and one in New Britain. That was it. And those courses, New Britain and West Hartford especially, they were doing 60,000 rounds a year. Now they're all fighting for 30 to 40,000 rounds a year, but they have to slash prices to do it. So in some areas, it's kind of become, the term that's out there is like a race to the bottom. Who
I thought it was interesting. When I was in college, I went to college in Pennsylvania. They had a lot of par 3 courses around. And there doesn't seem to be any of that around here, where you just have where you have an iron, a putter, and maybe a driver or something.
Yeah, kind of like
holes are 150, 200 yards.
Yeah, kind of like a chip and putt or something
chip and putt more like And that was like you could take your 12-year-old kid there, and you can play it. And there's a lot of fun.
There's a place for that. The flat 9 at Goodwin Park is, I think, is there's par 4s and things like that. But it's a great place for somebody to learn the game. You're not having to
work on your
ball
short
over
game,
water, or dealing with hazards and trees and out of bounds and all that kind of stuff. I've taught at a couple different golf courses that are really, really hard. Now, they're fun for me to play. I love it. But if you're a beginner and you're just getting into the game, but it's a great point that the par 3s, the executive courses, I kind of grew up when I was a little kid playing the executive course where, let's see, on each 9, there was an 18-hole course, but on, say, the front 9, there was 6 par 3s and 3 par 4s, and that was on both sides. So it was a good place to kind of get started. And maybe that's the answer. But for right now, I think in the golf industry, there's still a little bit more supply than there is demand. So do we work on, more supply? No, I think there's got to be ways to create demand. And certainly all the big bodies are doing it. The USGA is changing some rules coming up here next year. Some of them are to speed the game up and make it a little less complicated. And there's a couple of them that I don't think are going to speed up the game. So we'll see what happens.
I know at the high school level, the football numbers are down. in this area. I mean, a couple of high schools I know that couldn't even have a freshman team. They didn't have enough kids to,
Really?
to come out. And
Wow.
that's, whether that's because of concussions and a million different things.
Well, yeah, the CET and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Now, I live out in eastern Connecticut, in a pretty small town, and you know, when the kids were playing sports, you know, I'd get, oh, you know, hey, Joe, I was, you know, such and such, my daughter's playing soccer.
Yeah.
And you'd say, oh, is she on travel? And I'd say, yeah, of course she's on travel, because we only have one team.
Yeah.
We had to travel everywhere. And then as they got older, you know, as they, you know, say middle school baseball, they didn't have enough kids in one town to field a baseball team. So you start getting 2 and 3 towns together. Right. Which, I mean, it is what it is, but it's smaller. So we got, month and a half away from the Travelers. Big tournament coming into Hartford.
Hartford, yep.
Just gets bigger and bigger every year.
Okay.
I was at a meeting a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
And the guy from the Travelers was there, and it was interesting. He was talking about Jordan Spieth came last year for the first time. McIlroy came for the first time. Oh wow! And he was scared. He was scared because Spieth went into the playoff, and now
who was scared?
This guy who runs runs the tournament. Okay. He was worried that now it's gotten too big. What's going to happen? Okay. So Spieth's coming down on the 18th hole. He ends up holding the shot out of the bunker. Fortunately, the other guy still had a chance to make the putt, but he kind of got that feeling. You know, there's only a rope. There's just a skinny rope separating thousands, tens of thousands of people from the golf course. Oh, wow. And he was picturing, you know, these people like charging the green or something. But it worked out great. And it really, last year, it became probably the most popular non-major on the tour. Nice. You know, in little old Cromwell down there with the golf course, it's really short and it's going to be easy and stuff like that. But they did a good job of you know, creating a golf course that's not overly long and still plays tough. Okay. So, all
right, let's wrap it up. So our top, let's do our just top 5 picks. I think I'll go first. I think the Browns take Josh Allen. Unbelievable. I think Giants take Barkley. I think the Jets take Rosen. And I think the Browns take Bradley Chubb. And then Mayfield goes to the Broncos. Those are my top 5. What do you think?
I still say Barkley goes #1 to the Browns. I think, and I'm going to kind of fudge this a little bit, I still think the Giants are going to trade back. Okay. And then I see Rosen going to the Jets. Okay. Chubb going to the Browns in the 4th pick. And I'll go Josh Allen to Broncos at 5.
Broncos, yeah. Yeah, I think Darnell slips out of the top. He might be like you said about 10, 11, 12. Yeah. Because I don't think all 3 of them or all 4 of them will go in the top 10. Yeah.
And who knows? Maybe the Giants at 10 or 12 can pick them up.
But you don't know if Baker Mayfield's going to go too. You know what I mean? That'd be my guy. All right, George. We'll be back 2 weeks. We'll see how we did. All right,
Joe.
Good job. Thank you.